What would you do if your child walked in at the exact moment you were hiding a secret from your past? A moment meant just for you, suddenly exposed. He saw everything, but what he said next changed everything I thought I knew about being a mother. Stay with me, because this story gets more uncomfortable, more real, and more unforgettable with every second. It was a rainy Sunday afternoon, the kind where the clouds hang low and the world feels quiet. The pitter-patter on the window was oddly soothing. I had just finished folding laundry and finally had a moment to myself. My husband was out with friends. The house was peaceful. I lit a lavender candle, letting the calming scent drift through the room. The soft hum of the heater blended with the sound of the rain. I walked into the bedroom and closed the door behind me. The mirror across the room reflected my tired face. I had not dressed up in weeks. That day, for some reason, I wanted to feel beautiful again. I pulled out a dress from the back of the closet. It was deep red, silky, something I used to wear when I felt confident. I slipped it on slowly, feeling the cool fabric against my skin. The zipper was a struggle, but I laughed quietly to myself. I turned slightly to the side, examining the fit. It still looked good. For a moment, I forgot everything else. Then I saw it. A small box in the drawer I rarely opened. Inside was an old love letter. Not from my husband. My heart skipped a beat. The handwriting was still familiar. The words pulled me into a memory I had buried long ago. I read the first few lines, my breath growing uneven. It was from a man I had once loved deeply. A man I had never told anyone about. Suddenly, I heard a soft knock. Too late. The door creaked open. My son stood there, 12 years old, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. He looked at me in the red dress, then at the open drawer, then at the letter in my hand. His eyebrows pulled together in confusion. "Mom, what is that?" My hands froze. I could feel the heat rising to my cheeks. The silence between us felt like it lasted an hour. The candle flickered behind me. The room, once warm and soft, now felt exposed and cold. My son stepped forward, eyes still locked on the paper. He was too young to understand, too smart to ignore. I wanted to hide, to rewind the moment, to explain everything and nothing at the same time. But I just stood there, holding a letter from a past I had never planned to share, staring into the eyes of the boy who had unknowingly opened a door I had kept shut for years. He spoke again, but this time, his voice was quieter. "Is Dad going to be okay with that?" My throat tightened. I still had no answer. The rain outside kept falling. The candle kept burning, and my son just kept standing there. I gently placed the letter back into the drawer, closed it slowly, as if that would somehow erase what he had seen. But the look on his face told me it was already imprinted in his mind. I walked toward him, unsure of what to say. My legs felt heavy. Every step forward brought more weight. He did not move. His eyes searched my face, waiting, maybe hoping, for an explanation. I knelt in front of him. The floor felt cold against my knees. I reached for his hand, but he kept his arms at his sides. "That letter is old," I began, my voice softer than I intended. "It is from before your father and I met." His jaw tightened, like he was trying not to react. "But you still have it," he said flatly. I could not deny it. "Yes," I whispered. "I kept it." There was a pause. Not the kind that asks for silence, but the kind that waits for truth. "I used to love someone else," I continued, watching his face carefully. "It ended. A long time ago. But some memories are hard to let go." His eyes dropped to the floor. His fingers fidgeted with the edge of his hoodie. I could see him processing, connecting pieces he was too young to hold. "Are you still in love with him?" The question landed like a stone in my chest. I shook my head, firmly. "No." "I love your father. I love you. I motioned toward the drawer. "This is just a piece of my past, not my present." He finally looked at me again. This time, his expression had changed. Not angry, not hurt, just older. "I didn't know moms had secrets too," he said, almost like he was talking to himself. A lump rose in my throat. I wanted to tell him that we all carry pieces of ourselves that we hide. Not out of shame, but out of fear that the people we love will not understand. But before I could speak, he turned and quietly walked away. The door clicked shut behind him. I remained on the floor. The candle had burned low, its scent barely lingering now. The dress felt tighter somehow. I sat there, in the quiet, wondering how much of me my son had truly seen, and whether the worst moment was yet to come. I stood up slowly, knees stiff from the stillness. The silence in the house felt different now, heavier, as if the walls themselves had absorbed the tension. I changed out of the red dress, folding it neatly and placing it back in the closet. It no longer felt empowering. It felt like a costume from a story I had no business revisiting. I walked down the hallway toward his room. His door was closed. A thin line of light escaped from underneath. I hesitated, hand hovering over the doorknob, then lowered it. Some things needed space. Some truths needed air before they could be touched again. I returned to the kitchen, hoping the simple rhythm of making tea would ground me. The kettle hissed and clicked. I poured the water, but my hand trembled slightly. I kept replaying the look in his eyes. Not just confusion, but a quiet disappointment I had never seen before. He had always seen me as steady, predictable, safe. Now he had seen something else. A version of me I had buried with time and responsibility. A version I had never expected him to meet. I carried the tea back to the living room. The couch creaked as I sat down, the warmth of the cup lost on my skin. Then, I heard footsteps. Light ones. Slow. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I looked up, my heart thudding louder than before. "Why did you keep the letter?" he asked. There was no anger in his tone, just quiet curiosity, like a puzzle he wanted to solve. I took a deep breath. Because sometimes we hold on to things that remind us of who we were. Not because we want them back, but because they help us understand where we are now. He nodded, slowly. "I get that. Kind of." He walked in and sat across from me. "I have this old rock. From a trip I barely remember. I keep it in my drawer." I smiled. "That is not so different." He sipped from his own cup. Milk, no tea, his usual. The tension between us softened, but it did not vanish. He leaned back. "I just thought you and Dad were perfect." I looked at him carefully. "We are not perfect, but we are real. And real things get messy sometimes." He was quiet for a while. Then he glanced at me again. "Are you going to tell Dad about the letter?" The question pierced me. I had not thought that far ahead. But before I could answer, he added, "Because if I saw it, what if someone else find it someday?" I stared at him, stunned by his clarity. This boy was not a boy anymore.